ITV News Mary Nightingale has described the astonishing pictures as Britons stopped their cars mid-traffic and scrambled to the central reservation to see the Queen's coffin as it made its way down the other side of the road towards Buckingham Palace. Hundreds of thousands of people have flocked to pay their respects to the Queen since her death last Thursday afternoon, and this evening proved no different as Londoners lined the streets to see the late monarch's coffin. King Charles III, the Queen Consort and an assortment of Her Majesty's grandchildren were waiting at Buckingham Palace to welcome the coffin as it arrived just after 8 p.m. The Queen made her final journey home this evening as a state hearse transported her coffin down the A40 en route to Buckingham Palace. After landing at RAF Northolt in Hillingdon, West London at about 6:55 p.m, the Queen's hearse passed through nearby Perivale at about 7:33 p.m. under a grey sky and drizzling rain. As the hearse and a convoy whizzed past, officers were unable to stop scores of people from spilling onto the road to film. And the Queen's grandchildren were among members of the royal family paying their respects to the late monarch by witnessing her coffin's arrival at Buckingham Palace. The Queen's coffin makes its way through London to Buckingham Palace. Image, ITV. Standing at the palace's grand entrance, the new king and his queen consort were surrounded by the late monarch's children and grandchildren and their partners, including the Prince and Princess of Wales and Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The C-17 Globemaster aircraft, used for aid missions in Ukraine and to help evacuate people from Afghanistan when the Taliban returned, arrived at RAF Northolt in northwest London just before 7 p.m. after travelling from Edinburgh. Soon after the huge aircraft arrived at the military base, the Princess Royal, who accompanied the Queen's coffin back to the capital with her husband Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, issued a moving tribute to her mother. Read more. Queen Elizabeth to be buried with two sentimental jewels, expert claim, reveal, Anne said she was fortunate to be able to share the last 24 hours of my dearest mother's life. She added, it has been an honor and a privilege to accompany her on her final journeys. Witnessing the love and respect shown by so many on these journeys has been both humbling and uplifting. We will all share unique memories. I offer my thanks to each and everyone who shares our sense of loss. Don't miss, Piers Morgan claims Prince Harry will betray vow to Queen with book. Report, Kate wears elegant pearl necklace to receive Queen's coffin. Reveal, woman recalls Queen's coronation in fond memory of Her Majesty. Video, trending before the coffin was carried by a bearer party to a waiting state hearse. The Princess Royal and her husband left the military plane and stood with Chief of the Air Staff Sir Mike Wigston, while nearby was also Prime Minister Liz Truss and Defence Secretary Ben Wallace. On parade was a guard of honour made up of service personnel from the Queen's Colours Squadron of the Royal Air Force, who presented arms when the coffin was first seen. The King's colour for the Royal Air Force was lowered in salute. As the hearse carrying the coffin began its journey, people stood silently by the road with some recording the historic moment on their camera phones. Read next, mourners likely to be turned away in queue for Queen's coffin. Meghan's gesture after incident at Windsor suggests anxiety. King Charles loses his temper over leaky pen after days of engagements. Princess Anne says escorting her mother is an honour and a privilege when Royal Mail will stop accepting Queen stamps.